Hello, my name is Clara Galbraith. Welcome to today's 10-minute band video on trumpet. Before watching this video, make sure you check out the 10-minute band video on breathing so you have the air and tools you need before you start trumpet. As always with this series, we are covering a lot of information very fast, so don't try and do everything in the video all at once. Pause the video at different sections to try it yourself. Also in the description of the video is a resource guide that covers everything we cover in the video today, along with some additional resources. You can use it to follow along to the video or for your own reference in your personal study. Today, we'll be covering how to open the case, breathing, posture, buzzing, assembling the instrument, holding the instrument, first notes, articulation, and transposition. Without further ado, let's get started. Before we get started, we're going to talk about opening the case. It may seem like a silly thing to talk about, but a lot of people damage their instruments just by opening their case incorrectly. First of all, do not open the case with the handle up. If you do this, your instrument will fall out and probably get bent or damaged. What you want to do is find a flat surface, preferably the floor, making sure the top of the case is up. The top of the case is usually the part of the case with the logo. After this, you're good to just undo the latches and open it right up. Before jumping into playing trumpet, watch the 10-minute band video on breathing. This will give you good foundations for deep breaths that will help you get a full, loud, rich sound. Let's take a look at our posture. Sit with both feet flat on the floor and your sits bones flat on the chair. Make sure your chest is relaxed and open. You don't want to be hunched over forward, and you don't want to be slouching backwards. To make sure your chest is nice and relaxed and open, find your collarbone and trace your fingertips out to the edges of your shoulders. Once you've done this, you can relax your arms in your lap or at your side. The whole reason we check our posture and make sure we have a good foundation is so that we can get better air and better support, along with more comfort while playing. Now we're going to work on forming our embouchure and buzzing. Embouchure is how you hold your face to play a wind instrument. To start out on trumpet, say the syllable M and then the syllable pu. This M, pu syllable is the general form you want to keep your lips in while playing. Next, try doing this with the mouthpiece on your face. Center the mouthpiece top to bottom so that about 50% of the mouthpiece is touching your top lip, about 50% is touching your bottom lip. You also want to center it left to right. Once you've got the position figured out, take a deep breath in and then say M, pu. See if any noises came out. If they didn't, try it again and try bringing your lips closer together until you do make a noise. This is called buzzing. Also, make sure you don't tense your face while you're doing this or puff your cheeks out. An important thing to note is that a lot of people try to smile and bring the corners of their mouths further apart to try and get more notes to come out, especially on the higher end of the range. You really don't want to do this because it adds a lot of tension, not only into your sound, but also into your face, which isn't good for you long term. To combat this, it may help to think about bringing your corners in a little bit towards the center of your mouth. It can be a little frustrating because a lot of this just takes time and practice to build the muscles in your face, but it is worth the extra time and practice to get notes better long term. Another thing to be careful of is the amount of pressure you have between your mouthpiece and your lips. There should be just enough pressure to form a seal, which is honestly a lot less pressure than most people expect. A lot of people shove the mouthpiece really far into their face, once again, especially when they're trying to get higher notes out. This actually makes it a lot more difficult and prevents you from getting the sounds you want. Continuing with buzzing, once you can get a sound consistently, try varying the sound you're making. Bring your lips together closer to make a higher pitch, or bring your lips further apart to make a lower pitch. These are going to be very minuscule movements that you may not even feel, but if you think about it, it will happen. Once you kind of get the feel for this, you can start doing sirens, which is going lower and then higher continuously, like so. Sirens are a great way to practice buzzing and a good way to build range. Once again, be careful of the pitfalls I talked about earlier. You don't want to smile and you don't want to tense your face while you're working on building your range. Let's take a look at putting the instrument together now. Trumpet is very simple to put together, since there's only the main instrument and the mouthpiece. Other instruments have a lot more pieces they have to worry about, particularly woodwinds. Before we put the instrument together, I'm going to talk about one part of the instrument. This part is called the lead pipe and the mouthpiece receiver. This, of course, is where the mouthpiece goes. Take the mouthpiece and put it gently into the mouthpiece receiver. Turn the mouthpiece a quarter of a turn. Don't try to push the mouthpiece too far in the instrument, as it might get stuck. You also need to find a balance so that it doesn't fall out when you pick the instrument up, which is what the turn helps with, to kind of set it into place. To take it apart, you'll do the opposite, turning it the other way and pulling it out. Now, let's take a look at how to hold the instrument. Pick up the instrument with your left hand wrapped around the center of the instrument. Insert the ring finger of your left hand into the loop where your hand is placed. If your hands are smaller, you may want to try inserting your pinky instead. If you have large hands, you may want to use your middle finger instead, but generally the ring finger is a good option for most people. The instrument is held mainly with the left hand. With your right hand, curve your fingers to create a C shape. Your index, middle, and ring fingers should rest on top of the buttons. Rest your pinky on top of the hook. For me, this is hard to demonstrate just because of the way my body is. So I'm going to demonstrate with my left hand before going back to my right hand. It is important to note that, in my opinion, your pinky shouldn't go in the hook. Many people do put their finger in the hook. It is a personal preference. However, I would recommend not to, just because keeping your pinky on top of the hook can help you keep the rest of your fingers curved. Your right thumb should go under the lead pipe. That should generally be beneath your index finger, or beneath your index and middle fingers. Looking at the angle of your instrument, it should be slightly below parallel to the floor. Again, as with anything else, it's all about finding a balance. You don't want your instrument to be too high or parallel because it will mess with your embouchure, or too low because it will also change your embouchure. Form your embouchure and using a lot of air and not pushing any buttons down. Try to hit this note. This note is a G. Practice this until it gets comfortable. If you are hitting a note that is too low, try bringing your lips closer together. If you are hitting a note that is too high, try bringing your lips apart. Once again, it may not feel like you're moving your lips at all, but as long as you think about it, your lips probably are, because it's just very tiny amounts. Once you feel comfortable on a G, try to hit a low C, which is this note. Your lips should be slightly wider apart than they are for the G. For some people, a C is easier to hit. Once again, you're not pushing any buttons down. Once you get comfortable with this note, try going back and forth between the C and G to get a feel of how your mouth changes. It might take a minute for you to get these two different notes. That's okay, it's very normal. Remember, don't try and smile to force out the higher note, and don't try to force the higher note by pushing the mouthpiece into your face more. Next, we're going to talk about articulation. Articulation is how trumpet players separate the notes while they're playing, like this. To articulate on trumpet, musicians use their tongues to articulate notes, specifically the tips of their tongues. When you articulate, you want to keep your airstream going the whole time, like this. To articulate notes, use the syllable do or to. Again, practice this until it feels comfortable, and start by doing it very slowly. Once it becomes more natural, you can speed it up. Thank you for watching today's introduction to trumpet. Once again, please check out the resource guide provided in the description of the video and the rest of the videos on the playlist. I hope to see you soon, and happy practicing!